So now I'll look at an example of recursion. This is known as the Fibonacci sequence, and this is an example of excessive recursion. In other words, too much recursion. So what does the Fibonacci sequence state? Well, it states that given a number n, we return n if it's less than 2, and we return Fibonacci called recursively with n minus 2 plus Fibonacci of n minus 1 if n is greater than or equal to 2. So therefore we can see a number is the sum of its predecessors. So n minus 2th predecessor and n minus 1th predecessor. Okay, so how can we define a Java function for this? So let's quickly have a look. So int Fibonacci. I'm just going to return an int, I'm going to call it Fibonacci, and it takes in an integer n. So how are we going to work this? Well, we just look at our two cases and we say, well, we have n if n is less than 2, and we have this if n is greater than or equal to 2. So therefore, if n is less than 2, which is our case there, then we simply return, that is 2, not n, return n. Look at me writing n less than n. Like that makes any sense. Else, return. Okay, so now we're just going to return a call to Fibonacci of n minus 2. So Fibonacci of n minus 2 plus Fibonacci of n minus 1th value. Okay, so how can we show this in an execution sort of format? Just get my pens. Okay, so if I call it with the number, let's say 5. So I'm putting the number 5 into n there. So I'm calling it with the number 5. So what happens? Well, n is not less than 2, so else we're going to return Fibonacci of n minus 2 and Fibonacci of n minus 1 added. Okay, so then we're going to call Fibonacci 3. So is n less than 2? No. So we're returning Fibonacci of n minus 2, which is Fibonacci 1, plus Fibonacci of 2. Separate these two calls. Then Fibonacci of 4 is going to return Fibonacci of n minus 2, which is 2, and Fibonacci 3, which is Fibonacci of n minus 1. 4 minus 1 is 3. Okay, so over here, is n less than 2? Yes, so we just return 1. Over here, Fibonacci 2, is n less than 2? No, so we return Fibonacci of n minus 2, which is Fibonacci of 0, and Fibonacci of n minus 1, which is 1. And over here, is n less than 2? No, so we're going to return exactly the same as over here. And Fibonacci of 3, n is not less than 2, so we're going to return n minus 2, which is Fibonacci of 1, and Fibonacci of 2, which is n minus 1. So over here, n is less than 2, so we're just going to return 1, or 0, return n. In this case, we're going to return 1. In this case, we're going to return 0. In this case, we're going to return 1. In this case, we're going to return 1. And we have one call left here. So Fibonacci n minus 2 is 0, and Fibonacci of n minus 1 is 1. We're just going to return 1. That way around, 0 and 1. Okay, so this is an example of the amount of execution, and now you can see why we call it excessive recursion. There's an excessive amount of recursion taking place.